sleepless nights I lay awake, thinking about the future while you lie in bed. I'm getting cake rolling
Welcome to the
down.
Comments from the Peanut Gallery podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Kurtz. I'm here with a very special guest, the great and powerful, the Antidote, Mr. Eric Grant himself. How you doing, my man?
Hey, blessed and highly favored.
Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day today. I know it's a very busy early part of the week as far as your training schedule goes. But real quick, Eric, just to take care of the business end of things, do you have any sponsors or anybody that you want to throw a shout out to right away?
Most definitely. Out of Lakewood, Colorado, I got Infinite CBD. Absolutely phenomenal company. You know, you order online through Infinite CBD /Antidote 10, get 10% off, and they'll ship it to your front door. So that's the cool part about them. I also got Fitment, which is, you know who this little jacket is. They ship me out some like workout clothing, stuff like that out of Boulder, Colorado. I got Studio 127 down in Pueblo, Colorado. You know, really cool. Gotta keep Pueblo in the mix, so it's pretty sick there. And then, and then, you know, comments from the Peanut Gallery. You yourself has been putting a lot out there for us and really getting us recognized over here at Factory X. So, you know, we really appreciate that as well.
Well, I really appreciate that, you know, and you own your own company too as well.
Oh, yes, sir, yes,
right?
sir, yes.
Give yourself a little bit of love. You got that t-shirt.
You know, I got the A Planet Movers. I am the owner and operator of A Planet Movers, #1 in Southern Colorado. So we're ranked above U-Haul, 2 Men in the Truck, all those good guys. And then we're trying to transition up here towards the Aurora, Denver metro. And that way I can just train full-time and get guys out to work.
Very cool, my man. You know, it's also cool. Your house after you call Colorado Native Company. Give my man Robbie a shout at 303-218-7788. That's Colorado Native Company. They're going to get you taken care of for all your air conditioning needs with this summer season coming up. They sent me this cool hat right here. Thank you very much, guys, at Colorado Native Company. So, you know, just kind of transitioning from that, Eric, you've been here for about a half a year now at Factory X. Is that correct?
Yes. 6 months as of the I started my trial week here at Factory X the 6th of January, and then of course ended that about, I want to say I think it was like the 15th whenever I paid my gym dues and I was locked in and loaded. I was like, for real, I was kind of stressing that whole week and I was hoping I made the team, and everybody's like, man, you made it, you're good. But I'm one of those guys that's like, you know, never put expectations on anything or anyone, for example, because, you know, you never know if you're going to meet those expectations. So if you don't put expectations, you're always going to be 100% right.
Well, and, you know, you mentioned the stress of it. It's no easy feat being able to come in here and make it.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, you go home bruised. You're not just starting out on the fight team, you know, when you come over here to Factory X, you're going through the fight camp, which is multiple training sessions. You got 5 training sessions in 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. You get a day off. You got 2 more training sessions on Thursday. You get half a day off. You got a training session on Friday, which is spar night. And then on Saturday, a lot of people do 2-a-days again with Landau Strength and Conditioning over in Centennial, Colorado, which is the #1, I say, in Colorado. So, you know, Factory X definitely has, you know, what most people would call the plug when it comes to the fitness world.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Landau Performance Facility is phenomenal. You know, shout out to Coach Augie, to Coach Wrigley, Eric Telly, Nate Smock, Justin Stab, everybody over there. You know, they run a great performance facility over there. You know, the elites of the elites are there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lauren Landau, he really put together a nice system.
Right.
You know, so it's really cool to be able to see him and watch him on like Instagram or stuff like that, you know, because like I know your Instagram, you got the Comments from the Peanut Gallery Instagram page, which is sick. Factory X has a YouTube page out now. A lot of you guys can get over there to the YouTube page, subscribe, check out the videos. We're doing a 52 weeks segment, and you know, we speak every week on a different topic, so it's pretty cool.
It's one of my favorite parts of every week, being able to film that, like just sitting here and just kind of like seeing you guys give your perspective of like the entirety of the series is why I fight, with a different theme that's assigned for each week for the individual person speaking. So
yes,
like per that specific theme or concept, like it's just so cool to see like what really puts fuel in the motor for you as a martial artist?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what puts you in this room every single day? Like, that was awesome to be able to see. You know what I mean? You know,
Oh, yeah.
you had a great speech. I think right now, though, overall, and it's no disrespect to yours by any means, because it's great, but the one that I liked the most so far...
Let it out.
Chris Camozzi.
For sure. He's a BA.
You know, I mean, that one of the always hungry, never satisfied, like, that's someone who's been through it all, you know, who is 20 fights in the UFC, has went through a full contract in Glory, has gone all around the world fighting, is now about to take on Gian Vellante in his first professional jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, that's a man who's still hungry after all of that.
Came back from, where was he, just at Russia?
In Russia, yep.
Goodness. And he fought one of Khabib's teammates or something like that. Something like that. Yeah, I know they had like a very similar last name.
Some connection of that.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to lie to you.
That's about as far as I know there. But yeah, no, like I say, with that speech, that was just kind of eye-opening for me. You know, like someone who really has, you know, been there to every different, you know, stage of the game, and is still hungry for more.
Yes.
Who's still not satisfied. Who's still figuring out his why every single day to come here and get better.
That's true. And I mean, that kind of comes down to where Coach says, enjoy the process. You know, because if you don't enjoy the process, you look back and you're like, dang, I wish I really would have enjoyed that process. Like, I really wish, you know, I'd enjoyed every inch of it, you know, like how he's talking about with Joe Warren and the belts, and how like the first two, he just, you know, didn't really enjoy the process, and he got, you know, to finally enjoying the process. And,
Definitely.
you know, even like Anthony Smith in that last fight, man, that was unbelievable, you know, and it's crazy that we're all in here on the same system. Like, we're in here training on the same system. The difference is between him and a lot of people in here is that he works harder, you know, but he's doing the same exact thing, but he works harder. So it's like, it really opens up eyes to a lot of us that, you know, if you work hard, you can achieve. You can get those numbers away from those names and then replace it.
Well, and as evidenced by this system working, and with the right sort of, you know, with the right diligence, you know, Coach just got done talking about treating your schedule the right way and doing everything with a purpose. Well, the guys that you see that have really kind of taken hold of that and embraced the process, if you will, those are guys who have started to make that climb and that are now on the next stage of guys in the dance. I mean, guys like Ian, who now has a number by his name. You know, Ian, shout out to the Hurricane, number 11 in the world right now in middleweight.
Yes, sir.
You know, Devontae is on the rise.
Yes,
Devontae gets a big win in this next fight up here at UFC 241. I believe it's 241 in LA. Whichever either way,
card's coming up.
It's the one that's in Anaheim, same card that Ian's on. He gets a big win on that. There's a chance that he's ranked at that point.
Yes,
obviously,
that's nice.
at 155, it's a very stacked division, but I mean, he's already got 2 quality wins at his 2-0 mark in the UFC right now, especially with that huge win over Julian Erosa.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a huge
beautiful
win right there. You know, hit him with the bink right away. You know what I mean?
You know, yeah, and then like off of that same topic, you know, one person that really inspires me when they talk about coming over here to Factory X, and they had like a negative record, 3-4, and then it finally improved to 4-4, and then 5-4, and then 6-4 is Austin Jones. You know, the real Jones, and he really inspires me. You know, he may not be in the UFC yet, but he's a big name in the next level circuit. You know, as far as the LFA goes, who knows how many more? He could be the next one to fight for a belt at 170 or a couple more fights, or he might not even have to get a belt to go to the UFC. You know, he got pretty good management and, you know, great team. So
I love Austin, man. I love that guy. You know, he's just one of the most genuine people that you can meet.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, he's always in here trying to help everybody get better. You know, I mean, even after just his regular open classes, he's always answering questions and always trying to just help everybody. Like, you can't help but not want to see him succeed. Like, you want to see Austin succeed because he's such a good person.
Right,
because
deserves
he does. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, extremely just purposeful individual walking around the room. You know,
land out every single time. Never misses a session. You know, I mean, the guy he works his ass off. You want to see a guy like that find success. You know, and you mentioned just like yourself, I mean, you guys have seen some adversity in your careers. He was able to turn that around.
Yes.
You're now at that point where you're starting to, where you've turned that corner now that you've found a true home.
Finally, yes.
Because the thing is your record is not reflective of your ability. You've got a high level talent. I mean, and especially as evidenced by the guys that you beat. It's just a matter of, would you say that not really having like established roots, if you will, was kind of the difference of, where maybe a couple of those matchups maybe didn't go your way or just kind of didn't capitalize on absolutely everything. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I think mainly I just wasn't fully committed.
Wasn't fully committed.
When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I was more worried about work, or I was more worried about going out with a friend or going on a vacation or doing something differently compared to now. Coach holds us to high expectations of being here, and like we really got to be here now. So now that I'm like in the gym, I'm committed, I'm consistent, I'm dedicated. Like I barely miss a day at all when it comes to training. And then on those days that I do miss, I'm normally running my business, but I'm trying to get it to mint together. I'm trying to get to the point where my business is second to my MMA career, but at the same time, all my bills are paid, so I can get it all figured out. That'll come when it comes with more sponsors, or even like a nice little management team. When I finally get my first management team. I never had one yet, but I talked to Coach, and Coach is going to point me in the right direction, and that's a good thing that I trust him to point me in the right direction, because before I never trusted the whole management thing, because as most fighters, you're greedy. You're thinking 10%, 20%, you're getting that much, but you're not thinking about the simple fact of how much more you're making and how little that is compared to what you're making now, compared to what you're making before. Because when you start the game with MMA, or, when you start out, someone like me, I made 400 in my first fight out of Kansas for Victory Fighting Championship. That's my first pro fight. And then after that, it was, I went and fought for RFA, and then they gave me 1,000, and just kept going from there. And then it went back down as you lose, and it goes back up, and in different promotions, it goes back down, and it's like a roller coaster wave of never getting over 2,500. When a lot of people in the UFC are complaining, and they're like, man, I don't make enough money, I'm doing this. They're not remembering where they really came from, if they even had to come from the level that we're on right now. So like the stage that we're on, we're really working hard to climb up to that level of getting in the UFC and being able to afford it. Because, work and training isn't easy. You got to mix it together. And when you miss, you pay for it.
That's true. Because nobody wants to be on that other side of that discussion with Coach.
Oh, no. Not with Coach, or not with your hand down in the middle of the octagon either. So
That's true. That's true, definitely.
Life will hit you both ways.
I have to say, my man, we share a special moment as far as with your career, and as far as where my development, I guess, as you will, as a personality within this space has grown. Your last fight, your first fight with Factory X, the MMA fight, or your main event fight, I should say, I was commentating.
It was freaking sick.
Oh, man. That was such an epic experience. Coming out there, it was like, man, Eric looks like a fucking predator. This dude is out here looking like he's carved out of stone. He's ready to go. Like, you have that little bit of like an awkward bounce like that you don't normally see from a lot of guys, so you create some crazy angles. You had that pendulum kick that you came in with, and
like started off with the KC shuffle, originally being from Kansas, we kind of seen it with James Krause all the way up, with Zach Cummings all the way up, like all of them all the way up. So it was like real cool.
Yeah.
But the cool part about that, or one thing I wanted to ask you about that actually, is whenever I was walking out and you was kind of like describing who I was in the commentating, and the other dude was like, yeah, but that Caleb Crump is no slouch at all. And like I kind of felt like you just knew what was going to happen to him. Like I know you probably can't really talk on that subject, but
I mean, it was a thing of like, I don't because like I say, it was my first time ever commentating. You know, I was, you know, I'm very grateful for Trevor O'Connor giving me the opportunity, you know, and recognizing me out in the crowd as soon as I came in.
Definitely.
But, you know, they needed somebody last second, you know, to fill in. So I didn't really have a whole ton of background on a lot of the other fighters that were on the card. But just right from one, the eye test, and then two, knowing what you guys put in and knowing what you guys do here, you're just like, no, like, I mean, I'm very confident on speaking that whatever the odds are or whatever the line is, you put the house on the Antidote. Because it is not going the other direction. There's no way that in this moment you had so much right then and there that you were fighting for, that you were trying to prove, that you had been carrying the weight of on your way out to there. And then when you came through with that, basically like that reverse triangle, I don't know what they technically rule it as in the end, but when you locked up that submission and you got the tap, like I was just in the middle of saying like, yeah, like Eric has these kind of like, for 155, these real long limbs that you don't really know what you're gonna get entangled with. And then next thing you know, you got the tap. It's like, there we go, boom, there it is.
And like, it was crazy because that Caleb Crump, you know, you hear about him being a very high level jiu-jitsu artist in the area, and as far as the odds went, you know, I feel like they didn't know who I was at all, but it was the bonus of you being in that position that you did know who I was. And as a main event, it kind of sucks when you don't know the guys. Like Caleb Crump was a amateur champion for that promotion, and then for the No Mercy promotion, and me, it was my first time ever fighting on their card or in their promotion. So like, I think it definitely worked out perfectly aligned where, you know, you definitely brought the energy to the corner whenever you was able to commentate, and I go back and watch the video and I'm like, man, I could watch this over and over again, because it's just like, that's right, like, that's good, like, you know, that's real cool.
the entire night, I mean, I loved calling every single fight of that. You know, there was a lot of, there were fights where obviously, I mean, there was four Factory X fighters, I believe, on that.
Yes,
on that card.
yes.
Yeah, so with there being, I think it was 9 fights total, there was obviously, you know, there was multiple fights where I had no connection to anybody, so it was cool to just kind of be 100% objective. I knew nothing about either one of these respective fighters' backgrounds, knew nothing about what they were stylistically, anything along those lines, aside from what their name was on the bout sheet from the commission, along with what their gym was. That was the only things that I knew for some of these guys, but was able to, with some of them, you know, speak to the system that they were coming from. You know, like obviously the Victory guys coming from Gilbert Smith, that's a very strong tie and connection. Gilbert was at one point here at Factory X training. Gilbert is a, you know, the long-time RFA vet, long-time, you know, he made multiple appearances on The Ultimate Fighter, so can kind of speak to a little bit there. There were guys from the Jackson's gym, so you could speak a little bit to, you know, to Jackson's. Pariah's been kind of on the rise through some of these regional cards, so you know, could speak to a little bit on the school side, but didn't necessarily know a lot about the athletes individually.
Right.
But it was cool just to kind of take a objective look, like I say, blank slate, you know, blank piece of paper, and just watch and commentate on what I was seeing.
Yeah, I feel you there. And I mean, the best part to me, honestly, was like you say, on a blank piece of paper, you know, if you write down Factory X and then versus Elevation Fight Team, there was a X on the Elevation Fight Team and the Factory X to the live. So, you know, like, we have nothing against them, but we're gonna keep fighting. You know.
Well, I mean, the thing is it's a healthy competition, I feel like, between any gym that's out there, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not collectively as a team, like, obviously it's an individual sport, but at the same time, you're all working together as a team to get each other better.
Right.
You know, I mean, your best training partner, or your best partner is your training partner, you know what I mean? Like, your best opponent are your training partners that you go with every single day, because if they're not getting better, if they're not capable, then you're not getting better.
Yes, like Ferguson, mat time.
Right. Absolutely. God, I love it. And let's talk about that for a second.
Man.
Tony Ferguson deserves a title shot.
Without a doubt.
I don't give a shit about Conor McGregor. I do not, like, at this point, like, kick rocks, bro.
Yeah, it's time.
Like, you've had a time to try to get yourself back into the fold. No. Like, Tony has rattled off one of the most incredible win streaks in the most difficult division in the sport right now and today. Especially if you take a look at his last 7 fights. His last 7 fights are all, I mean, I put up a picture on the comments from the Peanut Gallery Instagram page for all of you out there listening. I'll share a graphic on this too. But the faces of Tony Ferguson, it was kind of the caption of it, the faces of El Cucuy. So it showed from Josh Thompson all the way through now to current of all the faces of his last 7 opponents. Every single person walks away cut up. Like, nobody leaves a Tony fight with your face anywhere near the same that you walked in with.
And they say it takes one elbow.
Well,
from him.
Yeah, one elbow from him. I mean, everyone from when he fought Kevin Lee to Barbosa to, like I say, Josh Thompson to obviously in this most recent fight, Cowboy. With Cowboy, then I knew
which
that
he taught us
would have been bad with when he caught one of those spinning back elbows and it just hit him flush. I think that's when it broke. I think that it was on the spinning back elbow. Tony came through. He misses with the jab, but he still came through on the spin on the back elbow and connects on that. I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones where he caused the fracture. Which then Cowboy, goes to blow his nose, puffs up with that massive hematoma looking like Eddie Alvarez out there.
And, I've been fighting for 9 years, and I've never seen that in my life. I never even knew that if you have a black eye or, I guess like a fracture with your nose or like sometimes even if your nose is just bloody or anything like that, that your eyes can swell up from the air when you blow your nose. Like, I never in my life knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And, that was a nice lesson, especially from a veteran.
Yeah, see, the first time that I think was the big example in the UFC that you saw that was, I can't remember which, it might have been Poirier, but it was Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez did it, one of his last couple of fights at the UFC, the one that's like if you type in Eddie Alvarez eye, that's going to be the fight that you see it from. And I mean, Eddie Alvarez's eye was like the same thing. He went to just kind of brief, made that split second, and then boom.
Ugh.
It was like literally like a balloon. Like, you could, same thing with Cowboys. You could literally see it just like blow up on camera.
Right.
But
and
then, with
Cowboy's
Tony, obviously, in his previous fight, Pettis got cut up big time too.
He did. He was licking his blood. He took it back to the old school, like the old days.
I tell you what, though.
The Chuck Liddell.
Ferguson and Pettis fight was one of the most entertaining for those couple of rounds that it went, especially in that moment where you have Pettis that just takes that second where, they're in the middle of their scramble and he just looks up and he's just blood all over him. Like, that was that had some of the most, I guess, photo, I don't know what the right word is, but the picture perfect, like, photo moments of cage fighting. Period.
Yeah, I feel
you see that picture of Pettis like that, but then there's the one of Tony that I'm not sure who took it, if it was Courtney Hendo or who it was, but of Tony walking back toward his corner and, with his haircut and everything, just right there, but you just see like the splatters of blood all over his body. Like, oh dude, it's cold, it's graphic, it's gross, whatever you want to say, but I love it. It was awesome.
And you want to know something that's even crazier that nobody even thinks about when it comes to Tony? All right, so when it comes to Tony Ferguson, if you look at the last couple of people that he fought, they completely destroy some of the top-ranked 170-pounders. Completely destroy. And they come back down and they fight Tony, and he makes them look irrelevant. So it's almost to the point where it's like, what would Tony look like at 170? Like, that might be scary. Like...
The thing with
if they
Tony
come out with the 165,
is he's never. Does Tony take damage? Absolutely, but there's never a point, I feel like, in the fight where Tony is in a spot to where he's not dangerous.
Yeah.
If you're standing and trading with him, it's gonna be a tough night. I mean, he throws everything but the kitchen sink at you. He does all of that Wing Chun shit. He's crazy with all of it. With just all of his flow of movement. You can't out cardio Tony. There's arguably nobody who's had a better gas tank in the entire history of the sport than Tony. That dude's cardio is unreal. You talk about his wrestling, well, he's got championship level wrestling. You want to talk about jiu-jitsu, well, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. His attacks from the back are insane. I mean, that's part of why I feel like he's not afraid to mix it up standing, because he knows that, okay, if he gets put down and you come down and he meets you in his guard, he's still an absolute weapon.
Yeah, that's true. Let's just hope that the Khabib curse is over.
God, for the love of God, like I say, this would be attempt number 5. This would be not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but the 5th time that they will have tried to have booked this fight. Horrible. Can we, for the love of God, fight gods out there, make this matchup happen, and let us see this all the way through the fight day. No tiramisu, no cables tripping people up, nothing along those lines. Please give us this matchup. I'm asking you as a fan.
Man, we're not looking past Dustin Poirier at all, not at all.
No, not at all.
But I'm sorry, but I really feel like Ferguson is the only appetite for Khabib. Like, when it comes to a bear, I mean, there's a lot of trout out here that bear keeps eating. Mm-hmm. And he's eating them like, McGregor. McGregor got trapped like a bear. Like, the bear was just swamping it out the water and putting him out.
Let's talk. Let's talk now. Let's talk now. I smash.
Smash.
This is number 1 bullshit.
Hey, number 1. And Khabib time is coming,
Yeah.
It's coming.
No,
he's coming back from suspension.
I mean, that is no disrespect to Dustin at all. I think Dustin is as solid as you can get. I just don't think that Dustin has the answer for Khabib.
No. And if he does win, I'll come back on this podcast and, humble pie, put it out there.
Same thing.
Say what I gotta say.
I will be the first one to admit that I'm wrong. I just don't think that he has the answer for Khabib. Khabib is just, and I think after coming off of the suspension, and now that he is the true champ in that way, or whatever you want to call it, outside of the
done with a Ramadan and all that,
I think that Khabib is going to go out trying to send a message, and I think that that's a dangerous Khabib.
Yeah,
you see a Khabib that is ready to send a point more than he already has. I just look back to something like the Michael Johnson fight, like where he's literally just like
talking to him,
pounding him away. Just like you must give up. You know I deserve a title shot. Like, you must
want
quit.
to hurt you.
I don't want to hurt you anymore. Like, you must quit, as he's literally just holding him down. He's one of the best at lacing you up and completely immobilizing your other arm. He'll hold one arm down, has great wrist control, and just pulverizes you.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, no, that's pretty real. But at the same time, like with Khabib, the coolest part about him is where he's fighting next,
Mm-hmm.
And, outside of that, if neither one of them can get through him, it could be Devontae Smith's turn.
He's definitely creeping up into that discussion for sure. The guy who I feel like is kind of, slipping out of some people's, I guess, conversation with that is, and this is where Connor messes everything up, but
the redhead commentator.
But nah, Paul Felder's. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Paul Felder is. I think that he's chipping away at being close to the contender status. But Justin Gaethje.
Oh yeah, true.
I think that people keep on sleeping on Justin Gaethje on any given night.
For a second.
I think that Justin Gaethje has a chance on any given night to be a problem for anybody.
Yeah, that's true. Even Khabib, because Gaethje will take all the damage you got to give him.
Right.
And I don't think you're going to be able to hold him down.
And he has, All-American level wrestling. Granted, there's levels to it when it comes to grappling and everything of that sort. But I feel like, he does have a formidable skill set that can at least present trouble. And especially if you're talking about some of those knees to his kicking game, I mean, you can't take a man down if he's kicking the shit out of you on the way in.
That's true. And if you think back to back in the day, some of his takedowns, like the front flip takedown, like the PFL days or what was it, World Series of Fighting back then. Like he had like a front flip takedown, the flips off the cage.
Right.
Name another UFC fighter that's really going to get that photo.
Exactly. Well, and to grant, because then the counter could be, well, throwing kicks have the potential of getting caught for takedowns, but yes and no. When you're throwing kicks the way that Gaethje does, like,
and you have no fear of getting hurt, no fear of anything.
Like, especially when they were talking about him and Barbosa going, that was an amazing fight to watch, because it was just going to be fireworks. But he said, you know what, I was going to beat him to the punch. I was just going to go in and I was going to throw him as hard as I could, as fast as I could. And if he got to me first, he got to me first. But I was definitely shooting my shot.
Absolutely no fear.
You have someone who's ready to, basically who's going out there ready to come back on their shield. That's a dangerous dude to be locked in there with. And someone, like I say, who has the, I don't know how sometimes Justin Gaethje throws the low leg kicks that he does.
Oh man!
Like some of the low leg kicks that he throws, they're absolutely insane. As far as, like, he has zero space from what you think normally. Like, you only see that in certain, like, high level Thai fighters almost. That you're in a phone booth and he figures out some way to throw that inside low leg kick.
Man,
like. That just blows my mind, the way that he creates those angles sometimes. And he's good at, he wears a lot of damage, but he's also good a lot of times at being able to slip just enough, getting his head off the center line as he's throwing those kicks. To where it looks like he's taking more than he is. And I don't know, like, I watched an interview of him talking through his process, and he says, like, it looks like I'm taking more than I am, but I'm slipping a lot just enough. He works with Trevor Whitman, one of the best striking coaches out there in the game. So he's not a slouch by any means. He's not just going out there and being he is a punching bag at times, but he's also not taking as bad as it looks. And I'm sure you could tell that, just as a trainer. But there are times where he does take some damage. It's a matter of he's throwing them until he falls or they fall.
And I don't think he cares about the damage. Like, I think he's just that Cowboy Cerrone type of guy. Cowboy's a straight savage. He tried to push the air out of his eye. He tried, literally trying to do it himself, just to continue fighting. Like, it wasn't, it just savage, dude. Like,
and I don't think that it's the end of the title run side for Cowboy.
Oh, not at all.
I don't think that fight detracted from where he's at. I think that if anything, it validated that Cowboy is... he's right there at that level. I think, to be completely honest with you, as much as I love Cowboy, I think that he was starting to fade a little bit at that point. And not so much that his gas tank or his ability. I think that he was about to start to really be on the decline with the punishment, because it looked like toward the end of that second round, Tony was in a flow state. It looked like, Eric, I don't know what the percentage was in like the last 2 minutes, but the percentage of strikes landed from Tony's side of things had to have been through the roof.
Sheesh.
Like, I was just sitting there just watching his efficiency, and I rewatched it later that night. It was on, someone had already posted on, and it was just like, just tag. Like, he would maybe miss one out of a combo that he was throwing, but Tony was just so efficient and fluid in and out that he was not missing.
Oh, man.
And even with, he was hitting him with the elbows and everything. Like, it was like, bro, eventually, I don't care how good your gas tank is. I don't care how tough you are. If you keep getting hit on the button over and over, it's going to wear you down.
Yeah, that's the truth. Like Gustafsson, he got hit. And, as you seen, he couldn't take it no more.
Right.
And, like, back to the Anthony Smith case, I don't know why Gustafsson even retired, to be honest. But if it was because, I just lost to Anthony Smith, then, even him in the near future is going to discover that there's going to be a lot more people that do.
I think that, to me, people can take that discussion one of two ways. They can take it as, Gus, you taking it as a negative, like, if I lose to this person. But I take that as a complimentary statement on Anthony's side personally. I take that as, from someone like Gus, who has been at the high level for a long time, if he, after getting beat by a guy like Anthony, says that, like, if I'm not at a championship level, then I don't want to be that gatekeeper. I don't want to be the guy who just goes out there and has exciting matchups. I want to be in title contention. If this is the new standard, if this is a guy who is that new top level guy who is chipping away at that belt, if I can't beat him and he's the next coming of what a champion is, then maybe it's time for me to walk away while I still have my faculties and whatnot. If I can't compete with the number one contender, then that's the way that I kind of thought of it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's more of a complimentary thing to say that, you know what, if I'm no longer able to beat that next best guy, then I'm.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's the difference between boxing and MMA. Honestly, a boxer is going to keep boxing because that paycheck,
Right.
And he's not getting paid
America,
puppy
you have to
change.
take into account what the reported quality of living in Sweden is.
Yeah, that's true.
Being up there, that's a very, per what the studies say, a very high quality of life sort of area. It's a place where people are generally reportedly extremely just happy with their everyday lives. So if it's a thing of with Gus, it's a matter of, he's obviously, after he's gotten to the levels that he's gotten in the sport, he's made some decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to a place, like Sweden, where there is, some very strong, central benefits as a population. How much longer do you need to keep on going? If you do have, a solid chunk of change stacked away, if you're taking care of all along those lines, as you well know, it takes a lot to get out there and grind on the mat. It takes a lot to want to go get locked in with, with a killer that wants to rip your face off in a cage. If you don't have that in you anymore, or if you don't have something that you're still chasing, if it's just the paycheck, well, some guys maybe might see it as, just think of like a Calvin Johnson, the football player that retired early, or like a Barry Sanders. I still have a lot to give, but if I can't do it at that top level, or if I can't do it with that championship sort of stipulation on the line,
right?
Then you know what, I'm cool.
Yeah, I mean,
does that make sense?
Yeah,
like in a way, or just like
everybody has a different background,
right?
Yeah,
but I just started thinking of it on like what could possibly be a reason for Gus.
Yeah, there has to be
some. Thinking about, someone brought up that discussion. They sent me, well, Sweden has a very high standard of living, or high level of happiness.
That makes sense.
So I wanted to know what you thought about that. I mean, if you had basically, it's not like UBI over there, but you have a lot of things that within your government system you already have taken care of. You're not having to worry about some of these extra things that other parts of the world don't.
Yeah, then you don't have to train. You can travel the world and enjoy your life, or have sponsors, or like my big thing is I'm trying to build like my social media platform, just so that way I get to the point where if I can't do something, I can still like sell a product to help out everybody that follows me, like on my social media. So like right now I do like my Infinite CBD on the Antidote, the Antidote MMA on Instagram, and I got like two E's. There's a lot of people that do the Antidote, but it is the. We are trademarked, and I do have the license for the name. So we're out there, and then I also got theantidote.com, which is a personal website, and we're actually starting to revamp it more towards around the Factory X move and everything that goes over here compared to how it was vamped before. So, definitely making moves in the MMA world. I personally suggest professional mixed martial artists to at least get some kind of website going, and then eventually, I'll get to the point even where I'm selling shirts from my website. Awesome. And then just go like that.
So let's talk a little bit more about that, about your side of things as an entrepreneur, and let's put it this way, a branding specialist. For someone at your state that's not in the UFC, or not to have 12,000 plus followers online is not common.
No, not at all. No,
So
I just hit like 15.7K yesterday.
15 points. Well, geez, from the last time that I looked.
But when I first got here, when I first got to Factory X, 6 months ago, I was only at I think it was like 9,950, and then just the transition here alone, it's almost 6K followers in 6 months, so it's about 1,000 a month.
Yeah, which is, it's incredible. That's a phenomenal growth within that time frame. So, what do you do to do that? For maybe some of the fighters out there listening that are trying to help grow their likeness, trying to help grow their brand out there.
Right.
Talk about your strategy, or what are some things that maybe have helped you to get to this point?
Honestly, it's consistency. Consistency has a lot to do with it. It's kind of like YouTube and like YouTube videos. So the more you put out, the more people that have the opportunity to come follow you or come like one of your things. Another thing is like location. A lot of people do location search to see what's going on in the area. So like if you put like a location on your story or something, because like I get like I'd say over 500 views on my story on just like the stuff I post throughout my day, and like I honestly thought that I think it's a low number compared to the amount of people that I got following me, but at the same time it's like you got to keep getting people because those numbers are going to go down if you don't. So it's like the more people that are out there, you got to keep refreshing, you got to keep going, you got to keep posting. That's why you post with hashtags. But like me, I put the hashtags in the comment area and I try to keep it under 15 seconds. So I like put out all my hashtags, copy them, and then put out my post. And as my post is finished loading, I hurry up and put them in the comment section. So where then all those hashtags, people can go to those areas, they'll see newest first, they'll like it, they'll engage, they'll, there's millions of people in the world, and you never know what they're doing on there. If they're just going on there looking at certain stuff or going to fashion and just looking at fashion stuff, trying to figure out what they like, they're using the hashtag.
No, absolutely.
So like that's a big importance.
So you obviously you follow your analytics and your insights a lot to see
yes.
what's helping drive that traffic then.
Definitely. And my largest following, I got 2 pages actually. It's my other one's Colorado_MMA, and since January it's gained like 2,500, like a little bit over 2,500 followers, and it only follows my other big page, to where a lot of people that follow that page are already following my big page also. So having the 2 different fields to where people can see you also just drives traffic. So you almost got to push yourself, if no one else is pushing you.
That's the truth. Closed mouth doesn't get fed that way.
Never.
And so obviously you've done some study into the algorithms and how all of that kind of plays out.
Oh yes. Like basically, you don't want to do the same exact hashtags every post. You want to kind of switch it around, because that's a big part of the algorithm, is that switching those posts around. So even if you use the same hashtags, you want to switch them around in the format, because they go off of stuff like that, because they don't want any kind of like bot, like they don't want it to seem like you're just paying somebody to put a post up for you, and they're just doing the same exact hashtags every time. So basically that switching it up is a big part of it. And sometimes maybe you go into like your location or hashtags and you see say you type in Denver, and then like you go to like the recent or whatever, and the first 60 seconds on those posts, whatever you like, if you like one of those or comment, they're going to see that was you first, and they'll most likely come to your page, check it out, and then that's another way of engagement. You got to get in front of them without standing in front of them. So like that's how I get a lot of businesses that invite me over to have free meals or stuff like that. I might just comment on a burger or something. They'll be like, "Hey, stop by sometime, get a free burger on us." So
okay,
it's just about getting in front of them.
But it's obviously it's actively using your platform for a reason though too.
Yes.
There's a difference. Like I always, I get a little bit irritated sometimes when people, like I used to work an old job where sometimes they're like, "Oh, like you just spend so much time on Instagram and this and that." Like yes, some of it's entertaining and fun, but some of it is also like it's a necessity to constantly be facilitating that account, to be going to those those larger influencer based accounts from those types of accounts that you like or that share similar content. For me, it's a lot of times it'll be going to like MMAJunkie.com's pages or like the Ariel Show or some of those, and just putting out little comments here and there, and then maybe from those comments, you give a little bit of something that has value to the discussion that's going on or to what the content piece was.
Right.
You maybe get a couple people that funnel traffic over to your page from that. Like, all of those things have to keep on consistently being done. And I've learned from evaluating my own analytics that if I slip off even for a couple of days of not like engaging on so many posts, like the amount of like the reach and the interaction it's a big change. Right? It can be a heavy swing. So yeah, just like you said, consistency is one of the biggest things out there for anyone who's trying to grow their brand in the digital space, I feel like.
Oh yeah, and then it goes off of a 7-day impression, or it goes off a 7-day system. So like my smallest page, I'm pretty sure is bringing in over 2,300 like profile visits every 7 days. So like,
that's incredible.
And that only has 2,500 people following it. But it's the simple fact of engaging with others, liking other people's posts. Like, some people just think they're too good to put a like out there. You might make somebody's day, for real. Like, you might just change somebody's whole entire day by just liking something. And or they'll come over and follow you, or they'll follow you, and then you get the spiderweb effect to come behind it, the law of attraction.
Exactly.
So it's just like, small things count.
And I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes every now and then with some of my posts from going back and forth with those big accounts, like you'll maybe get a like here and there on one of yours from that major person out there in the field.
Right.
Like, like one time it was months and months back. Now it happens within the MMA world at least a lot more regular that I have interaction and engagement with guys in the UFC, which is awesome. But it was like the very first one that really kind of like made me almost like fanboy or like get super excited at one point was Diego Sanchez. Has been one of my favorites for a long time. But Diego liked one of my posts, and I was just like, the nightmare. I was almost like about to start running through the house doing his chant like he used to out on the way to the cage. Yes. But yeah, it was, this was early on into the comments from the Peanut Gallery, but there was one that I just happened to see the like from him, and I was just like, yes.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people don't understand that that's just a way of growing your audience.
Right.
Like, the same way one person might make you feel, there could be somebody out there that's never seen MMA or anything, has no idea what the heck it is, but you might have a video on your page of what you did. And then now they went over to your page, looked at it, and now they've seen your video, and they're like, well, I like this MMA stuff. So now they're about to buy your next ticket, or whatever, because there's a lot of people that truly don't know what it is yet. It's still growing.
It's still very, very young out there in the space as far as fans and whatnot. I mean, if you think about it in this way, outside of people who really actively went seeking it, it's only been back within the realm of like true public space since the Ultimate Fighter era. Since that cable deal was signed. Because for the long, it even got pulled for a minute, and it was in the dark ages. I've been a fan for a long time, obviously, and watched everything through internet to whatever through those years. But there's a lot of people who still, like you say, they couldn't tell you who more than maybe 2 belt holders are out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's times where I'll be on like moving jobs with my customers, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and, I like, honestly, I'm the type of guy that will express I'm a mixed martial artist to basically everyone I've moved, because it's growing my fan base also. So
Absolutely.
That's another way. You said word of mouth, like everything, you got to put yourself out there. You got to sell yourself before anything else, and you don't want anyone else to sell you, nor do you want to sign with something to sell you. So you want to sell yourself. And the best part about that is, like, I've asked a couple people, hey, have you ever heard of Conor McGregor? And to be honest, there'll be people out there that are younger or older, and they'll be like, I have no idea who that is. And you're thinking in your head, like, this is the largest name in the sport.
Right.
And you don't know who Conor McGregor? You never heard this laugh? Proper number 12? You never heard?
Right.
You start, like, nailing all this stuff, and I don't know who that is. But it's just because, he has a huge audience, but it's not the same audience as the world. Compared to how many people know President Trump, compared to,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy the way that you said, because I was, and sometimes, God, I cringe at that if they knew anybody in this game, that it would be Conor, just because I don't know. I mean, I respect Conor, don't get me wrong, but Conor's not exactly the greatest representation of the sport,
right.
In all capacities, if you will. But if you don't recognize him, who is the biggest from within this era, then it's hard, like you say. But it's also kind of something that, as I get older, like, perspective is crazy. You realize, like, how many people don't know about certain things out there. Like, even for that matter, as big as the NFL is, Eric, there's people who, like, it's the Broncos played today. I guess it's Sunday, sort of thing. Like, and I learned that after a little while, because my entire life growing up, like, Sundays, that was football. Like, there was nothing that, outside of having to get up and, do all the yard work with my dad, but we made sure that we were done by the time football games came on, you know what I mean? Sunday revolved around football. So to me, like, when I started to come across as I got older, like, you do other stuff on Sunday? Like, you do things that aren't watching the NFL? You don't watch the Broncos? Like,
right.
You live in Denver, you don't watch the Broncos? Like, are you shitting me?
Right.
But, I've learned that, man, even something as big and as popular as the NFL, there's a lot of people that don't follow or don't pay attention. So MMA being that much more niche, I could understand, people not having the awareness, but it's growing. It's growing massively.
It is growing.
I don't know that you can say that within our lifetime, because we're basically right about the same age. I don't know that you could say that there's been a sport that has taken that much of a rapid expansion in this time. And it has also within that had this sort of evolution within the actual, X's and O's, the technicalities of the game.
No, that's very true, because they're even coming out with the women's Powerpuff football, and it's starting to grow. And you see what those women wear. It looks pretty attractive.
Oh yeah.
But it has nothing on the UFC or MMA. So like when you look at these sports that other people are trying to put together, it's true. There is no competition. And when you take out all competition, it just becomes a journey. And kind of like how you're saying, like on your Sundays, how you do your chores, but there was nothing getting in the way of football. Is the same way that world champions, or people that are here at the gym, really got to transition the schedule to. There's nothing getting in the way of training, So like,
right.
It's crazy how, like, if you when you start looking at the life perspectives and the way that you do, make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, so as we start to tie this thing up right here, Eric, is there any last message that you want to get out to the crowd?
Definitely. I want to give a big shout out, thanks to Jordan, this man himself, from Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything like that. Make sure you also go to the Factory X YouTube page, Factory X MMA Twitter page, the Instagram page. Follow Factory X MMA on all the social media links. Also, you might even want to follow Coach Mark Montoya, because he puts out some pretty funny videos, not gonna lie. And and then me myself, TheeAntidote MMA, the Antidote MMA at Instagram.com, also Twitter, and you can find Eric the Antidote Grant on Facebook. That's all.
Thank you so much, Eric, for taking the time. We're Comments from the Peanut Gallery. You can follow us at Comments from the Peanut Gallery on Instagram as well as Facebook. Check us out on Twitter at Peanut Podcast. www.cftpg.com. Check us out for all of our merchandise. Every proceed from all of your purchases goes directly into the benefit of all of our athletes. So thank you guys all along for your support that have been there with us since day one, and for everybody who keeps on continuing to jump on the train. We're definitely on the up and up. So thank you very much, Eric. Hopefully, if it's around here, I'm commentating your next fight.
Definitely.
Or either way, I'm looking forward to being there.
Godly, you're better than the Smo.
Thank you guys very much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This is Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Added X on the chest.
Whoa.
Boom.
I'll beat that motherfucker.
sleepless nights I lay awake, thinking about the future while you lie in bed. I'm getting cake, rolling loud Buddha. They ain't enough hours in the day to do what I'm doing. Make felony music so criminals can't get high to it. We ride to it and fly through the sky, moving at light speed, so don't blink, you might lose this spaceship. We riding that fly shit. You couldn't try this way of living, you die quick. No chance of sleep, I'm wide awake on this night, rolling up my loud in hopes it'll help lower my eyes. Dilated, now I'm faded, mouth real dry. See some Hennessy to wet my tongue, feel real nice. Looking for a baddie, come to bed with me, open the thighs. Let her rub my back as I'm blowing pack, finish the night. Roll big trees, fat sticks, that's a lot of lumber. Sipping mixed drinks, blowing tweed till I achieve slumber. Yeah.